Call me old-fashioned, ladies and gentlemen, but I still believe integrity matters. And it especially matters if you're running for a position of leadership. And with that in mind, I would like to call into question the integrity of one Governor Tim Walz, the current governor of the state of Minnesota, and the current running mate of Kamala Harris. This man, if elected, unfortunately would be the Vice President of the United States. And it appears that Mr. Walz lied about his military service and is in fact committing stolen valor. Now, as someone who comes from a military family, that is a big deal to me. I'm sure as it is to many of you. Whether you come from a military family background or not, you are lying on the record about wearing the uniform of the men and women who decide to defend this country. That matters. Now, Governor Walz did serve 20 years in the Minnesota State National Guard. But Governor Walz claims that he re-enlisted after retiring after the attacks on the Twin Towers on September 11th, 2001, and served a stint of 4 more years. Now, according to his military service discharge papers, that is not true. Governor Tim Walz did, in fact, enlist for a hitch of 6 more years and retired early upon the deployment of his unit to Iraq in 2005, and instead decided to abandon his post and leave his unit as the highest ranking non-commissioned officer to run for Congress. Does that sound to you like a man that deserves to be the second most powerful man in the free world? It certainly doesn't to me. A man that, mind you, if Kamala Harris unfortunately were to be elected to the President of the United States, Tim Walz would be the second in command. And if a man were to abandon his post when he is supposed to be a leader among his unit, do you trust that man to potentially be the commander-in-chief? I certainly do not. Because you see, there are several people who have been trying to shine a spotlight on this for years. One is a Command Sergeant, Thomas Behrens, who is the man who stood up and filled Tim Walz's position when he decided to retire early and abandon his post upon deployment to Iraq, and instead decided to campaign for Congress. And this man wants to use that position to try to gain votes when you abandon the people that you're supposed to be serving alongside of. That's not a leader. That is a coward. I want to read to you what Thomas Behrens said, the man who stood up and filled Tim Walz's position when he decided to retire early and run for Congress. This man fought in Iraq for 2 years. Thomas Behrens said, and I quote, "I was like, for Pete's sake, if this guy quits, if I say I'm going to do it, I mean, what the hell kind of leadership is that?" Behrens told Alpha News back in 2022. So they've been at this a while trying to highlight the fact that he's out there lying. He continues, "If a company were to say, we're going to deploy to Iraq, and the foreman says, I'm not going, what does that say to the 500 that work in the factory?" That says that their leader is a coward. That says that their leader is not willing to do the work that they are, that he's not willing to put his life on the line if need be. And I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but that is not a man who deserves to occupy the second highest office in America. He lied on record. And you have multiple people who have came out from the same unit that Mr. Walz was with and highlighted the fact that he's been out here lying about his military service for years. Now, I don't care if Governor Walz did serve or he didn't serve. It's the fact that he's lying. It's an insult to the people that did wear the uniform of this country, that did put their lives on the line, to shed their blood for this country if need be. I come from a military service family. I come from a line in which we hold military service very, very important. My father is a former Marine. I have an uncle who served active Army for years and then served in the National Guard and was deployed to Iraq himself. He's a subscriber to this channel. Thank you, Uncle James. I love you. I love every single member of the armed services who are willing to put on the uniform of this country and shed their blood, if need be, in the service of defending this country. And it enrages me that I have a brother that's serving right now, and a father that did serve in the Marine Corps, and an uncle that served in the Army, all of which have been willing to shed their blood if need be. And then you have a man that's running for the second highest office in the land, and he's out there lying about his military service. If he's lying about that and bragging about his record, which he is lying about, what else would he lie about? He's not worthy to occupy that office. This needs to be called out because it's an integrity issue. We must demand better from our leaders. This must not be allowed to fly. I am grateful for the members of Tim Walz's unit who have been willing to speak out about this for years, because this is the act of a coward. And if he can't serve under the enlistment that he signed up for and lies about it, he must not be allowed to occupy the second highest office in the land. Also, after serving 20 years, which he did, he insulted the very people that he served with during the riots, the Black Lives Matter riots of 2020 in the state of Minnesota, when a Democratic governor Democratic mayor called on the then governor, Tim Walz, for the National Guard to defend property in the state of Minnesota. He said, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's getting. He's getting a bunch of 19-year-old cooks. That's what you think about the very men that you served alongside of for 20 years? That's disrespectful. That's like spitting in their face. And then you lie about the rank that you retired with as well. You should also be aware, ladies and gentlemen, that because Governor Walz refused to do his duty, according to the Blaze, the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, sustained over $100 million worth of damages during the Black Lives Matter riots of 2020, because Governor Walz denied the mayor of Minneapolis's request for the National Guard to quell the riots. And now there has been resurfaced footage that has come to light that shows the city of Minneapolis ablaze. I want to show you that because you need to see this. This is not the kind of leadership that we need in America. And if someone cannot fulfill their commitments that they made to put on this uniform and to serve with honor and to lead by example, They don't deserve to even run for dog catcher, much less the Vice President of the United States. And the fact that there are people who served in the very unit that Governor Walz served in that have been trying to get this out for years, and it's just now coming out. That's a disgrace. I want this video to go everywhere. I want the American people to see that Tim Walz committed stolen valor, that he is not a leader, that he neglects his post, that he is not a man of integrity. And if he can't lead, he does not deserve to occupy the office of the vice presidency. We must demand better of our leaders. If we insist upon remaining a great nation, we must have men and women who uphold the Constitution and who are strong and will not bow down to the enemies of this country. Tim Walz is a coward who neglected his post. How can we depend on him were he to be the vice commander-in-chief of this country? Please do me a favor. Please like this video. It helps the algorithm. Please subscribe to my channel for more content and share it. The American people need to see this disgusting of an excuse of a governor who is now running for the office of the vice presidency.
What do we stop with it?